Welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm a little bit nervous about. I've never really been one that's super into conspiracy theories. I am a very realist sort of person, not saying that I don't believe conspiracy theories. It takes a lot of convincing to convince me of something, essentially, like a lot of proof, a lot of evidence. But this is something that has bothered me for a very, very long time. I did take a class in high school where we discussed a lot of conspiracy theories, and this idea really scares me, to say the least. And this is about the Utah data center. So I'm going to read off real quick exactly what it is, because it's a ton of big words that I am just not capable of memorizing in a long strand, and I'm not even going to pretend like I can. So it's also known as the Intelligence Community Comprehensive National Cybersecurity Initiative Data Center. There's no way I was ever going to memorize that, so I had to say it like that. So this center was opened in, I'm pretty sure, 2014. They took an extra year to get it up and running, which I find kind of ironic based on some things that led up to its opening. It was opened in Utah in a very, very remote location. So the center is designed to store a ridiculous amount of data. I'm talking amounts that we cannot even comprehend. It's run by the NSA, the National Security Agency, and that is probably the most secretive agency. When everyone thinks of extremely secretive agencies, they're always like, oh, the CIA, or things along those lines, but no one really mentions or knows much about the NSA, and I honestly did not know a lot about it before I started researching for this specific video, and the more I dug in, the more terrified I am. So it's a $1.7 billion facility. It is extremely, extremely guarded. It's got huge concrete walls around it. The buildings themselves are concrete. It's guarded by sniffer dogs, by guards. I mean, they've got cameras everywhere. It's a very, very heavily fortified sort of facility. Which to me is not surprising, being the National Security Agency, first of all, and it's also not surprising just being a part of our government to begin with. Our government tends to be extremely secretive about a lot of things, which is why I'm really on the fence about this particular, I guess, theory. It's not necessarily a conspiracy theory. I don't know, it's hard to explain. You'll see further in the video. What gets to me are the things that are actually stored in this facility and the information that they are gathering and deciding to store. They store everything from private emails to phone calls to parking receipts and tickets, travel itineraries, bookstore purchases. I mean, anything that me or you do on the internet or anything that leaves some sort of data trail, they are storing in this facility. I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with Snowden. This was a huge thing that happened in 2013. I mean, this man is still hiding from our government. He was a part of the CIA and also worked with a private contractor for the NSA, and he released a ton of confidential information, basically saying that the NSA tracks and illegally records and eavesdrops on all of our information that has to do with the internet, phones, everything. This is a huge issue because it's our private information and it goes against the Constitution, and a lot of people are freaked out by it, which is completely understandable, and he brought light to this and then fled the country. When the NSA made this facility, they chose it very specifically. It's in a very anonymous location. It's right on the outskirts of Bluffdale in Utah, which has a population under 8,000 people. It's not a place that's visited. It's not a place a lot of people go to vacation. It's in a very private location. You have to drive up this windy road to get to it. It's just very, very secretive. It reminds me a lot of Area 51, just not quite as intense. It's just extremely obvious that they chose this because of how anonymous they could be there, and That freaks me out in itself. NSA states that they don't use this facility for illegal eavesdropping on Americans, except they also will not say what they actually do use it for, and this is probably the largest red flag to me. When I was doing my research on this, they did a ton of flip-flopping. They said at first that they were just keeping really unimportant information and it was just a storage hub for just in case. But then later on they said that they wouldn't say at all what they were keeping. It is just a ton of back and forth. They will not say yes or no to anything. But the thing that gets to me is the government wouldn't just pour $1.7 billion into making a facility and then spending $40 million every year to keep it running for just nothing. A lot of people in the government at first weren't really questioning it, the government of Utah that is. They didn't think much about it. They're kind of all used to the government doing things like that. The mayors actually requested to take a tour of just the perimeter of the facility and the NSA denied it. And when the mayors were asked about it, they said that they weren't surprised in the slightest that being the NSA and being a higher form of government than they were, they're not surprised that they were being told to basically sit down and be quiet. Experts disagree on the amount of storage that the facility is actually capable of. Some say there's no way they're storing mass amounts of information, that they are just storing the bare minimum, just things to keep us safe. It's acceptable to me. I mean, I would want things monitored, potential terrorist threats, you know, things along those lines, and that is what a lot of experts are saying is all that they're capable of. However, there are some experts who are relatively close to the situation that are calling that a bunch of BS. Some professionals are saying that they have complete ability to analyze and break codes, which once again, I personally don't see as a huge threat because when it comes to other countries and foreign terrorists, they're obviously going to be using codes that we are unfamiliar with, and when it comes to breaking them, we want the biggest and the fastest to break them as fast as we can to protect our country and protect our citizens, so I understand that. However, a lot of our emails and online banking information and Facebook and things along those lines also use codes and encryptions to keep our information safe, which also in turn means not only are they snooping on foreign affairs, but they are very capable of getting into every single aspect of our online activity. So when I was first researching into this, I thought it was a bunch of BS. I am like a very questioning person. I don't just take everything with a grain of salt and hope for the best. I do raise questions a lot. But this kind of is where I was tipped over the edge of really wondering what goes on there. William Binney is a man that worked for the NSA for around 40 years, and he spent those 4 decades essentially automating the eavesdropping network that the NSA uses. He's a genius mathematician. They could have installed the tapping gear at the nation's cable landings, 24 sites where fiber optic cables come ashore, and it could have limited their eavesdropping to only international affairs and communications. But instead they decided to put their tapping gear at key locations all across the country, which in turn allows them to pretty much eavesdrop on all domestic communications traffic. Utah's computers can store data at the rate of 20 terabytes per minute, which is the equivalent of the entire Library of Congress per minute. That is a ton of information. They have the capability of looking into the deep internet, the secret internet that you and I don't have access to. I'm talking things that are seriously password encrypted. I mean, these are very strongly hidden items on the internet. The only issue is that because of the way that they set everything up, there is no distinction between domestic and foreign targets, and they did that on purpose. There's locations, countries, phone numbers, names, phrases, all of those are red flags, and what basically happens is when they're scanning through and sifting through all of this data, it could be an email I'm sending, it could be an email you're sending. If they find any of those phrases or targets, all of the information is then swept up, it is sent straight to Utah, and you are officially blacklisted, and all of your information from there forward is being watched. Obviously, they can't sift through all of this information. Obviously, they have those keywords for a reason, and a lot of people are not very intimidated by the fact that all of their comings and goings and activities are being watched. However, the one thing that gets to me is that not we may not be the criminals and we may not be the ones, you know, with anything to worry about, and we know we're not doing anything wrong and we have no reason for the government to come and get us because of our internet searches. However, you don't know who could be standing on the other end of this. You don't know who could potentially gather all of this information, all of these things that you may assume are deleted, all of your private information, personal information, possibly everything that is your identity as you know it could end up in the hands of the wrong people. I don't know, I just think it's so crazy because I hear a lot about the Snowden situation and everything that he leaked, and we are all quite paranoid. I mean, think about it. How many of you just delete your history just because you're worried about, you know, maybe someone random seeing it? Well, what do you think about all that information that you thought you had deleted and all these things that you thought you did in private just being sent off and sitting in this storage facility? It's almost like nothing you do can actually be just your own. And in the United States of America, we have our freedoms. We have freedom to our own privacy, except behind closed doors, it's a high possibility that that's not even the truth, that nothing we do is private, that all of our phone calls are being monitored, that every single word that we say, every single search that we do, every text message we send, every single internet search we do, every message on Facebook, every single tiny thing we are doing is possibly being watched. I'm not crazy to the extent of thinking that they're watching my every single second, everything I do, and every single thing I type in is 100% fact being watched, because I know I am not a threat to anybody. However, it is just kind of unsettling knowing that there is nothing that can just be your own. This is where I just don't know what to think, because there's this fine line of wanting to be protected. As a citizen of the United States of America, I am concerned about terrorists, and I am scared a lot of the time when I think about it. I appreciate the NSA because they are, as far as I know, set up to protect us and watch out for any sort of threat from terrorists or foreign threat, and I appreciate that a lot. However, I also understand that the government, their biggest threat is us coming together, is, you know, us overthrowing them, and I would not put it past the government at all to monitor every single thing that we do to ensure that that doesn't happen. And that's where things kind of get sketchy, and I don't know what to think about it. And I know I'm very vague about my opinions and thoughts kind of on this subject, but it's just something that, like, my brain, I can't fully comprehend it. I'm just not sure how to feel about it, and I really wanted to talk to you guys about it, and I figured this was a really good topic for comment conversations, to just see how you guys feel. Like, do you guys feel threatened? Like, what if this is happening for sure? I mean, there's so many people who have worked for the NSA, worked for the CIA, just worked for the government in general, that are coming out and saying this is a real thing. I mean, these people are also fleeing the country that they are so scared of how the government's going to react. And my only issue with that is why would they lie? Why do they feel the need to lie about it? And that's what gets to me. And the government sees these people as such threats that they spend years trying to track these people down. It blows my mind, and it scares me, because the government, especially our government, is such a secretive government. And while on one hand a lot of people might see that as something that is protecting us and keeping us safe, it also makes you wonder the things that you don't know, and it makes you wonder if, you know, they are doing something to control us. I'm not a crazy conspiracy theorist. I don't want anyone to get offended or upset by this video. It's just something very interesting. I think about it often, and how I kind of stumbled across this topic. I think about all the people that I talk about that go missing, and how they somehow vanish just without a trace. And I've always talked to my husband about how there's gotta be something. I don't believe for a split second that we can make these supercomputers that can analyze that much information and sort through that many things and break so many serious codes, yet somehow we can't find where someone went. I talk about this all the time, and how it just amazes me, and all these satellites that we have. There's drones constantly flying around in the skies, and somehow we can't pinpoint one person. And I know there's a ton of people on this earth. There are so many people, but I think we really underestimate a lot of the things that our government can do, and we take what they say as just what it is, and we never really question things and really think about things. And I was just thinking about how none of these people can be found, and there's so many missing people who just disappear, and we claim we can't find them, or we don't have advanced enough technology, but we've got enough technology to be doing stuff like this. So I don't know, but that's why I found it. I was just searching and I was like, there's got to be some sort of main hub for all of our information, like cell phone pings, cell phone calls, texts. There's got to be something with everything, our searches on the internet, and I don't know, it's just crazy. And I came across this and I thought I would speak about it. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think down below. I think it's crazy, and I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. Is the NSA just keeping it super secretive because they don't want terrorists to know what they're doing? They don't want foreign countries to know what they're doing in order to protect us? Or are they being so secret because they've got some other mission going on in there that I might even be wrong about? This might not even be the biggest thing that they're doing there. I know that domestic terrorism and domestic threats are scarily enough increasing, but does that warrant their mass storage of all of our data? I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think down below. It's just, this one's really mind-blowing to me and really got my brain kind of turning and thinking. And I hope you all don't think I'm nuts for posting this, but I hope you guys enjoy it. Don't forget to give it a huge thumbs up. It helps me so much. I am so in love with this channel. I am so in love with you guys as my subscribers. I love talking to you in the comments. I love it so much. I love seeing you talk to each other. So don't forget to leave a comment. Don't forget to give a huge thumbs up. Check out all of my social media sites. I talk to you guys on there all of the time. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe because I would love for you to be a part of the family. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on Saturday. Bye!